In the land of Uz lived Job, a man who honored God and walked with integrity. He cared for his household with wisdom, kindness, and a humble heart. Job's life was filled with blessings: family, servants, fields, and many animals. Yet his greatest treasure was not wealth, but faithfulness before God. Early in the morning, Job rose to worship and pray for his children. He carried their names before God with the love of a faithful father. Beyond what Job could see, the heavenly court gathered before the Lord. God spoke of Job's faithfulness, while the accuser questioned whether Job trusted God only because life was good. The Lord allowed Job to be tested, but the accuser could not go beyond the limits God set. Even in the coming storm, God remained sovereign. Then, a frightened messenger ran into Job's courtyard with terrible news. Raiders had taken the oxen and donkeys, and many servants were gone. Before Job could answer, another messenger came with more sorrow. Fire had fallen near the hills, and the sheep and their keepers were lost. A third messenger arrived, breathless from the desert camp. The camels had been taken, and the workers who cared for them had fallen. Then the final messenger came, carrying the deepest grief of all. A great wind had struck the house where Job's children were gathered, and none of them survived. Job tore his robe and fell to the ground in sorrow. Even in his grief, he worshipped and blessed the name of the Lord. Again, the accuser challenged Job's faith, saying pain in his own body would break his trust. The Lord allowed another test, but Job's life remained in God's hands. Soon Job was struck with painful sores from head to foot. He sat among ashes outside the town, suffering deeply, yet still alive before God. Job's wife was crushed by grief and could not understand why he still held to his integrity. But Job refused to speak evil against God, even from the ashes. 3 friends came to comfort Job, but when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. Their sorrow was so great that they lifted their voices and wept. For 7 days and 7 nights, Job's friends sat with him on the ground. No one spoke because they saw that his suffering was very great. At last, Job opened his mouth and poured out his sorrow. His grief was honest and deep, and he wondered why he had ever been born into such pain. Job's friends tried to explain his suffering, saying he must have done wrong. But Job held to his integrity and longed for God to answer him. Then the Lord answered Job from a mighty whirlwind. The storm spoke of creation, wisdom, and power far beyond human understanding. Job bowed low before the Lord and saw how small his understanding had been. He humbled himself, trusting God's wisdom beyond what he could see. In time, the Lord restored Job and blessed his later days. Surrounded again by family, friends, and peace, Job remembered that God had been faithful through the storm.